Kia ora, te aro. Welcome, whānau, to the end-of-year wrap-up of the War on News, your weekly sacred cow slaughtering assault on current affairs, beam live from the Palatial Stratus news bunker buried deep beneath the heart of the Greyland Republic. If this show is a letter to the Prime Minister, it would read, Dear John Key, viewing the unemployed and children at school as profit margins is not a credible economic strategy. And tonight's political media crimes against reason kill zone. The McDonald's Creationist Charter College says one fake dinosaur bone plus 3 hamburglers plus 1 John Key smirk equals better public schools. John Banks is Associate Minister of Education. Since when did education become a hate crime? I don't write the rules as a straight white male. I just benefit from them. New Zealand levels of inequality soar under the National Party. Plus, this week's Sex in the Super City and the Wanko of the Week Award. Leading the War on News this week, brothers and sisters, 1 week into the formation of the new government, and Conservation Minister Kate Wilkinson, while not drunk on power due to the difficulty of ever imagining Kate Wilkinson that relaxed, is certainly tired and emotional after announcing National wanted to launch an open cast mine on conservation land on the Denniston Plateau. What makes this decision even more audacious is that the minister promised conservation groups they would be able to have a say when the Australian mining company applied for access. She's now decided that she isn't going to let them have their say after all. Why can't the public have their say over mining conservation land? National won an election. They didn't get appointed by God as an absolute monarch. Kate Wilkinson is a minister. She doesn't get papal fallacy as well. When their president wasn't accidentally dumping Peter Sharples as co-leader at airport interviews, the Māori Party style of negotiation came under scrutiny this week. Before the specials have even been counted, the Māori Party are cutting a deal with John Key, even though if they waited and with a downgrading of National's vote, they could have a stronger hand by holding the majority. Normally, negotiation is aimed at getting the best deal one can. The Māori Party, however, like to negotiate from a position of weakness. They must have decided that after 3 years, why change that strategy now? Incidentally, Ken Mair not knocking Michael Laws out is just more proof that if you want the job done, don't trust the Māori Party to do it. National have declared the unemployed can be harvested for private profit with the announcement of private corporations being hired to find the unemployed jobs. This sounds like the free market at work for society, until it's pointed out that the private companies get a bonus for simply cutting beneficiaries off the list. How do they cut beneficiaries off the list? There are 2 ways. The first is that the company finds the unemployed person a job. The second way is that they offer the unemployed person a job, and if they turn it down for whatever reason, then they get cut off the list. So we will pay a private company bonuses to just come up with shitty, inappropriate jobs to justify dumping the unemployed if they don't accept those shitty, inappropriate jobs. It's like putting Paul Henry in charge of the Broadcasting Standards Authority as a way to police ignorance in the media. To the headlines, whānau. The McDonald's Creationist Charter College says one fake dinosaur bone plus 3 hamburglers plus 1 John Key smirk equals better public schools. National have used ACT's bizarre charter school idea to dismantle public education once and for all. The concept is weak schools in poor areas get taken over by private corporations or Christian fundamentalists who then don't have to follow the standards every other school follows, while still paying them out of the taxpayer's purse. So your kids could be adding up cheeseburgers while subtracting with the love of little baby Jesus as religious and corporate groups start taking over our public schools. The National Party are running around with the sort of glee children with attention deficit disorder doing a sweet shop. National simply can't believe the sleepy hobbits have really granted them the vast mandate to restructure the entire country on behalf of the rich. And this breathtaking audacity announces their 2-seat majority government scrape through with a mere 32% of the electorate gives a clear indication that for this government, ideology will trump reason. The logic behind charter schools is as fragile as the European Union agreement on economic austerity. Sure, the Ronald McDonald Creationist Charter College might look better on paper, but the abortion of allowing corporate profit-driven influencers and fundamentalists to run our public education system might be a hard right-wing fantasy too far, especially in light of an OECD report this week that said our public education system was one of the best in the developed world. Surely we wouldn't allow National and John Key to deface our very own public education service. Surely. To the headlines, whānau. John Banks is Associate Minister of Education. Since when did education become a hate crime? More depressing than this inane idea to allow companies to buy and run schools for profit is the fact that John fucking Banks is the new Associate Minister of Education. If I may directly, word for word, quote our new Associate Minister of Education. If we continue the bankrupt response of just paying young Polynesian, young Māori men in South Auckland, the dole, to sit in front of TV, smoke marijuana, watch pornography and plan more drug offending and more burglaries, then we're going to have them coming through our windows. That's our new Associate Minister of Education. Since when was book burning a prerequisite for becoming an Associate Minister of Education? To the headlines, whānau. I don't write the rules as a straight white male. I just benefit from them. New Zealand levels of inequality soar under the National Party. This week's OECD report shows New Zealand inequality jumping under John Key. The income of the richest 10% of Kiwis is now more than 10 times that of the poorest 10%. What's hilarious is that the elites are borrowing for their tax cuts while forcing the rest of us to subsidise it through higher GST. Welcome to John Key's New Zealand. But to the victor go the spoils of war. If sleepy hobbits are really so thick to trust a multi-millionaire money trader peddling vacant aspiration to provide a more socially just society, and those sleepy hobbits get the government they deserve. It's about time rich white old straight men started winning for once. Whānau, are you feeling sexy? It's Sex in the Super City time. It's David Shearer versus David Cunliffe for the leader of the Labour Party. But more important than who will win is the fact that it's two Aucklanders. So either way, Auckland wins and loses. The grueling selection process is like a masturbation race using a cheese grater. Sure, there's a winner at the end of it, but who would want you afterwards? In one corner, we have the hunger of David Cunliffe with all the ambition of a middle-class family trying to move into a grammar zone. He is as ready as an AK-47 to take it to John Key from day one. In the other corner is Labour's answer to Fozzie Bear, David Shearer, who is loved because he isn't David Cunliffe. Shearer's main attraction is he's likeable, meaning Labour should look at putting up a kitten, a baby monkey hugging a toy, and an otter doing some cutesy thing with its hands to fill out the deputy, finance and education portfolios. As a political purist, I find that we would select the leader of our country on likeability as inane as demanding your pilot is likeable. I don't care how often my pilot smiles, I care he can fly me and land me in one piece. That said, perhaps David Shearer is onto something. New Zealand just handed absolute power to John Key to sell the entire continental shelf of New Zealand off, and New Zealand did that because they like John Key. If our election has been degraded down to the like button on Facebook, perhaps we should apologise to David Cunliffe right now. Sorry, Mr. Cunliffe, you are simply too intelligent and talented for New Zealand. Whānau, let's finish the show by handing out this week's Wanko of the Week award. This week's Wanko of the Week, brothers and sisters, has to go to the Treasury and their latest downgrade on the economy. Brothers and sisters, Treasury are as good at predicting the second coming of Christ as they are at predicting GDP growth for New Zealand. Apparently, this year's growth forecast was too optimistic, just like the previous 3 predictions over the last 3 years on supposed growth in New Zealand. And that's because the economic crisis they face is well outside their neoliberal rule books for finance. The entire Washington consensus hegemonic structure is on the verge of collapse, and it's beyond the parameters of the bean counters to respond to. Treasury are like the Flat Earth Association mixed with climate deniers who find themselves on a round Earth that is melting. They can't be part of the solution because they are the problem. That's it for tonight, folks. Don't forget to follow me on my Citizen Bomber Twitter and Facebook site. It has all the shows posted up online and allows you to befriend other like-minded citizens for romantic news moments. Good night, New Zealand. You stay classy, Aotearoa. Righto.